i silenciar telèfons mòbils. Gràcies.
So, good morning and welcome to Luis Enrique's press conference the day before the Copa del Rey round of 32 game against Hércules of Alicante, although I'm sure there will also be some questions about the game at Real Sociedad at the weekend and the forthcoming Clásico on Saturday. So, first questions about tomorrow's game and previous experiences of games against teams from Division 2B. What kind of game do you expect, and whether he's taken the B team's game against Hércules as a reference? Okay, well, we're starting a competition that brings back fond memories. Very attractive one. But it's always very interesting to be playing in a knockout competition. Of course, we're thinking about the game that the reserves played there, but knowing their manager, I'm sure that they will have seen a lot of different things and will be preparing some kind of a surprise. It's the first game in the competition. Obviously, basically, we need to win this to stay in the competition. The objective being to win the cup title as we've done in recent years. So we'll need to play a good game against Hércules. Obviously, there's a big difference in the divisions that the teams play in, but we have seen surprises before. That can often happen. Sometimes lower league teams can make things difficult for you and can even beat first division teams. So we need to be very careful, as we are with any game. Talk about the team's morale after the draw at Anoeta and with the Clásico coming up on Saturday. The team are fine. We probably got more than we deserved out of that game. We got a point, so that's how seasons pan out generally. 11 players didn't train today with permission from the club. Are those 11 players that will be resting? There's a bit of everything. I've given some of the players some days rest, some players 1 day of rest. Tomorrow we'll announce the squad. You'll see what I've decided. It's run-of-the-mill decisions. When it comes to games like this, I need to decide on what's best for my team, always.
Hola Luis, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Adrià Albeig de la cadena SER. Iniesta no puede jugar mañana.
Iniesta can't play tomorrow. He's suspended anyway, regardless of the injury, but could he perhaps play in the Clásico? And how important would it be? Andrés is waiting for medical clearance, but it's more of a formality, really. He's training with us now. He's in great condition. He's not playing tomorrow because he's suspended. Otherwise, I'm sure I'd give him a run out. So we're waiting on confirmation, but it would, in theory, mean he's selectable. Do you understand that Barca fans might be a bit on edge after the result at Real Sociedad, even though it's a team against whom traditionally we've not had good results in the last decade? I understand any situation, naturally. I give my clear opinion before and after every game. From there, evidently, we need to improve, but I see no signs for excessive worry, other than isolated incidents or episodes that have happened. I think we're still finally poised to win all of the titles, but yes, of course, we're going to need to improve that. I know that, the players know that. It's not a question of asking for anything, it's a question of offering things to the fans. We've had some great games this season. Perhaps we need to be more consistent. I think that's pretty evident, even the players are saying that. But let's not exaggerate. In the football world, people tend to exaggerate. There's no need for that. They did that the first year and we won the treble, so that doesn't mean to say we haven't got difficulties ahead of us. We're the first to recognize there are things to be improved. Asking about Hércules.
A muchos jugadores del 11 titular, de anotar al completo. Va a haber minutos para los menos habituales.
You're giving a rest to a lot of players for tomorrow's game, so is this a good chance for them to perhaps show you something? Or is it just another game? I haven't announced my squad yet, so I don't know how you can be asking that question. The reporter's asking why he gave a rest to 11 players. Luis Enrique is justifying his decision that these are routine decisions. But normally for these kind of games, players that aren't getting so much playing time get a run out. They've got nothing to prove to me. I just want them to go out there and enjoy their playing time. I'm the kind of manager that likes to play as many possible players as I can. I like them to go out there and get playing time. That's an essential factor in them progressing into perhaps higher profile games. It's the depth in a squad that gets you through seasons and that wins you titles. So, yeah, this is a nice game we've got ahead of us, despite the difference between the divisions the two teams are playing in. But you can always see different things. We need to be more than ready for the game. We're playing at a really nice stadium. We've got a lot to look forward to. Talking about the minute silence today before the training session because of the tragedy of the Brazilian team in Colombia this morning. Yeah, it's an enormous tragedy. It's going to need an in-depth investigation to make sure that all of the proper security protocols were observed, because this kind of situation affects sport, families, people. It's a horrible blow to the sport, and it's something to be very sorry about and to express our grief and sympathy. Asking why Aleix Vidal was given permission to get married on Friday, whether he's available to play tomorrow. In principle, he's available to play tomorrow. He was training today with the team, but I don't think I want to make public any things that I spoke about with my players. I accept all responsibilities.
No, aquí davant, Agraf i Marc Barbà.
Hola, mister. Ashraf Benaed de BeIN Sports. Supongo que puede ser una buena oportunidad para Paco Alcácer mañana.
A good chance for Paco Alcácer against Hércules. Does the team need Alcácer to start scoring? No. I think you should leave the guy in peace. Why put pressure on a player who's not getting much playing time? I'm speaking in general, not about you. Will you let me answer the question? Thank you. Paco needs to be left to develop in peace with the time he's getting on pitch, which isn't much. So let's not dwell on the negative aspects of a player who's come to help us. I don't know how long his goal drought is going to continue, but I've got every faith in him, so I think it's ridiculous to put any criticism on him.
Et pregunto per un record positiu, ja sé que a vegades dius que no tens
a positive
memòria.
memory. 6 years ago, when you were manager of Barca B, Barca beat Madrid 5-0. And what do you remember about that day, and how much would you like that to repeat? I don't remember anything about that. Oh, I wish I could. I will talk about this the day before the game. I've got nothing to say about that, really.
Míster, bon dia. Jordi Sunyer de TV3. En les anàlisis dels últims partits...
The analysis of recent games, it's being said that the Barca midfield has been surrendered for the sake of more of a long ball game. I clearly understand that when there are adverse results, people start saying that kind of thing. This is the mushroom picking season. Mushrooms are flying everywhere and these kind of things are being said. It's the players particularly that determine the way that we play. Of course, the manager as well, because I very much believe in using the ball, because that's really how we can show ourselves better than the opposition. But different situations and players show different needs. And you'll find there are some games when we try to play faster, we try to hold on to the ball. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't, but the basic philosophy remains the same. Sometimes the long ball can be a useful option. If we're generating spaces, then why not play the ball into space? Look, we've been using the same system that's won us 10 different challenger titles. It's not something that I'm changing, but it's really opportunism, taking your chances. I will always accept my responsibility, as I always have done. Some mistakes are being made, the things we need to improve on, because we still haven't played any perfect games this season.
Te pregunto por dos defensas que están de baja oficialmente. Uno es Umtiti, pero lo vemos entrenar.
Asking about Umtiti and Mathieu, their recovery.
3 semanas ya ha pasado el plazo.
Discussing the period for Mathieu, he's been 3 weeks was the period, but these periods set by the medical service aren't the only factor. We need to look at how the player is developing, but I'm not a doctor. I wish I was, but it's not my thing, so I can't really explain why. The doctors can explain the situation, or the player as well. He's given all the information, and that's his information to reveal. Umtiti, he's trained today. In principle, he's able to play.
Hola, Adrià Soldavila del Món. Tornant a l'estil que comentava el
Going back to the playing style.
Vostè diu que intenten no perdre-se d'aquest estil de possessió.
You say that you're not losing the famous possession game. But are you satisfied with the way, the style of your team? Are things working how you want them to? In the Champions League, yes. In the league, no. It's not always what we're looking for. In the Cup, I'll tell you tomorrow. But look, it's the same idea. You can say the idea is good when we win titles and say it's bad if we draw or we're 6 points behind the leaders. Football doesn't work like that. The idea is the same. We haven't changed anything. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm not going to invent things here. We need to work on different ways of approaching games, different ways of using the space that's generated on the pitch. Clearly, there are situations in some games where we're not able to impose our game as we would like to, but we're not going to change anything. We've won 8, 9, 10 titles. That's not bad, is it?
Mr. Javi Giraldo del Sport. Antes decías que no hay que exagerar sobre la situación del...
Okay, you were saying about, not getting over the top with reactions to the results. Do you see any similarities between now and the season when you ended up winning the 3 titles? No. I was just making a comment about how things can be different over the course of a season. If I remember the first season, I kept smiling because criticize me as you would. I wouldn't let those things get back because otherwise when things are going well, I think it's all wonderful. No, I just kept concentrating on my job. The players are very aware of what they need to do. We brought in new players, but the idea is still the same. This is a season where there's our direct opponent are having a very, very strong season, getting great results. Perhaps we're not so far, but there's a long way to go yet. I think it would be too risky to kill us now and leave us lying on the ground. There's still a lot of ground to be covered yet.
Emilio Pérez de Rozas, del periódico. Usted al inicio de temporada dijo que tenía con mucho la mejor.
At the start of the season, you said you thought you had the best squad you'd ever had at Barca. Wonderful, stupendous, these adjectives. So what's the explanation of Sunday night's game? And you only made one substitution, despite the fact that you seem to be in a rut. Did you think it perhaps wasn't the time, or what was your reasoning? He's lost track of the question there. So essentially, do you have an explanation for that? With such a big squad, why only one substitution? Because the fans may have wanted 11 changes, you only made one. Yeah, okay, I remember now, yeah. I was giving a boomerang sentence when I said that at the start of the season. I threw out the boomerang and bang, it's come back and hit me. Of course, I said that, but I need to defend that with results, and I haven't been able to do that yet, really. But I still think the same. There's still plenty of games yet for this squad to show. As for changes, that depends on what I decide. I still think it's the best squad we've had for the last 3 years, but it's still the same old manager. It's still me, isn't it? So that's the only thing that hasn't changed.
Has comentado en un par de oportunidades en esta rueda de prensa la falta de regularidad evidente que está teniendo el equipo.
You've been talking about consistency, but why? Why is the team not consistent? Yeah, I've got infinite theories. And we're trying to resolve those. But it's not just one simple thing. I can't just press one button. Everything's working. There are lots of reasons for this inconsistency. Some of them have been repeated more than once, and these are things that need working out. Some have been just isolated incidents in certain games.
Deportes 4, ¿qué tal? Muy buenas. Después de Anoeta se habló mucho de la palabra actitud.
Attitude was a big word after Anoeta. Do you think it was attitude or football? The problem we've got is in Alicante playing Hércules. That's what I really need to think about, is what the club needs to think about. I think I've spoken enough now about what happened in the last league game.
Hola Luis, ¿qué tal? Xavi Riera para 3 Media. Desde Madrid se manda el mensaje que el árbitro del clásico.
Message from Madrid that it's a referee who's generally been negative for Madrid's interests and favourable for Barca. I can't remember, but I think he's a very handsome guy, isn't he? Whether even saying that kind of thing might affect the referee. I think we'll just turn the page from that question. Okay, so we'll find out the squad tomorrow at 10:30. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Descobreix l'univers Barça Kids. Juga i aprèn amb les diferents activitats i jocs. Construeix els teus propis